Well, a very good afternoon. You are right in time for the Younib TV News at 1. Today, being the 14th of May, we have much lined up for you, including what culminated during yesterday's historic state visit by the Finnish President Alexander Stubb, and also what befell the Nairobi Matatu, popularly known as Uppercut. With this and more, let's take a look at our stories making the headlines.
It wasn't there before. Mr. Chairman, farmers and workers are owed something to the tune of 5.6 billion shillings.
Kuna watu wanataka tuingie siasa, tumekataa. Na sio ya kwamba tunaogopa. Wakati utafika tutamenyana. Kila mtu atoe record.
Njia tu ni kupatia njia mwafaka, maji haya yaweze kusafiri mpaka baharini. Yale ambayo yatatumika kwa sasa, kilimo ni mzuri.
PNP and gratitude. We have been talking about supplementary budget since 2023. How comes when you talk about UHC, you bring the issue of supplementary budget? We want to be in the major...
Well, let's get to our first story. Now, all of the Kenyans who were kidnapped during the Gen Z protests that have been reunited with their families. This is according to President William Samoei Ruto. However, human rights organizations maintain that 29 people are still unaccounted for. The president also discussed worries about Kenyan students who have been reportedly tricked into enrolling in fraudulent universities overseas. He was speaking during a joint press event with Finnish President Alexander Stubb.
Leo mapaka imebebwa, kila kitu ya chini libebwa na maji. Juu hii mvua bado inaendelea, ikinyesha tu kidogo atulali kwa maboma.
Mvua haikuwa hapa lakini ilinyesha mlimani. Kwa hiyo maji yakachukua mkondo na yakatupata kwa kazi mwendo wa saa 2 usiku, na kuanzia hapo ikajaa manyumba, ikabeba vitu vingi na hata ikaharibu chakula.
Watoto zaidi ya 2000 wameathirika kwenda mashuleni na pia watu kwenda kazini kwa sababu kuna makampuni mengi ambayo yanatuzingira. Hii ni njia ya maji, ni mto, na ilikuwa tumefukua miaka 3 iliyopita. Kwa sasa silt ama mchanga umejaa. Njia tu ni kupatia njia mwafaka, maji haya yaweze kusafiri mpaka baharini. Yale ambayo yatatumika kwa sasa, kilimo ni mzuri.
Saizi tumehamishwa, tuko nje ya manyumba zetu, tunahangaika, tuna watoto mkononi, maji imeenda na vitu zetu, hatuna chochote sisi kule chini. Tumepelekwa na maji na mara mingi tunadanganywa na serikali kuwa inakuja kutusaidia.
Now, still on President William Ruto, now in an attempt to improve Kenya's healthcare system, the president has declared his intention to adopt Finland's healthcare model. President William Ruto, who is hosting Finnish President Alexander Stubb on his historic visit to Kenya for 3 days, stated that the Finland's healthcare system may provide vital answers to the sector's problems with service delivery. Additionally, the two presidents pledged to strengthen cooperation in the areas of technology, education, tourism, labor, trade, and the environment.
Na kazi yangu na sisi wenzetu ambao tuko kwa serikali ni kuharakisha ile imeanza na ile bado haijaanza. Tutafute ianze ndio kazi isonge namna hiyo. Kuna watu wanataka tuingie siasa, tumekataa. Na sio ya kwamba tunaogopa. Wakati utafika tutamenyana. Kila mtu atoe record yake. Wewe Kindiki umekuwa deputy president 2.5 years. Barabara gani hapa Nyandarua umesukuma? Umesukuma masoko ngapi kajengwa hapa? Umesukuma shule ngapi zikajengwa? Si ndio? Ule mwingine na yeye ambiwe hata wewe ulikuwa kitu fulani. Ulitusukumia barabara ngapi? Ulitusukumia stima ngapi? Maji miradi ngapi? So please, it is not that we don't know how to politic. We know, and we are better than some of the characters who are lecturing us every day. Ati kuna wengine wanafikiri hao peke yao ndio wanajua siasa. Waacha tukutane my friend huko mbele. Wataona moto. Wataona siku mrefu. Wataona siku mrefu.
Now, an evolving story about the uppercut matatu. Now, police in Nyeri have begun a manhunt for the driver of a 33-seater minibus that overturned as it negotiated a corner in the Juakali neighborhood of Tetu, Nyeri County. The accident killed one person, gravely injuring 2 others and injuring 23 others with soft tissue injuries. The bus, known as Uppercut, was seen being driven carelessly on Thika Road earlier on Sunday while transporting the youthful passengers to Nyeri for a road trip.
2009, there was a legislation on the Privatization Act, which created the Privatization Commission. And then from there was meant to be approval now to dispose these sugar mills to the private sector, and in the year 2015, I think there was an approval now by the Privatization Commission to proceed and do the privatization of these sugar companies.
The flip side of this whole exercise is unless you lease these factories, those debts that are held by the farmers could very easily turn into bad debt. What we have done, by going for the lease option is actually convert bad farmers' debt, bad workers' debt into account receivables. We have converted it into an account receivable. It wasn't there before. Mr. Chairman, farmers and workers are owed something to the tune of 5.6 billion shillings. And the irony of it is this. You have got one factory here that is run by the private sector that pays the farmers every week, that pays taxes to the government. There is no rose that doesn't have a thorn. So none of those in the keyboards and so, they're not perfect. Nobody is proposing that they are perfect people, but at least they pay their
2009, there was a legislation on the Privatization Act, which created the Privatization Commission. And then from there was meant to be approval now to dispose these sugar mills to the private sector. And in the year 2015, I think there was an approval now by the Privatization Commission to proceed and do the privatization of these sugar companies.
The flip side of this whole exercise is unless you lease these factories, those debts that are held by the farmers could very easily turn into bad debt. What we have done, by going for the lease option is actually convert bad farmers' debt, bad workers' debt into account receivables. We have converted it into an account receivable. It wasn't there before. Mr. Chairman, farmers and workers are owed something to the tune of 5.6 billion shillings. And the irony of it is this. You have got one factory here that is run by the private sector that pays the farmers every week, that pays taxes to the government. There is no rose that doesn't have a thorn. So none of those in the keyboards and so, they're not perfect. Nobody is proposing that they are perfect people, but at least they pay their farm.
Now let's shift focus to matters health. Now the 8,571 universal healthcare workers who are hired on contract by the government between 2019 and 2020 to increase manpower during the COVID-19 pandemic have threatened to continue their strike. Pandemic have threatened to continue polarizing healthcare across various public facilities until they are all employed on permanent and pensionable terms. This promise has since been broken, and they are now calling for a provision in the 2025-2026 budget for employment under permanent and pensionable terms.
PNP and gratitude. We've been talking about supplementary budget since 2023. How comes when it's to talk about UHC, you bring the issue of supplementary budget? We want to be in the major budget, which is next month.
They wanted a transfer of their payroll to the county. That was not their reason. And that is why we are saying that we are not party to that agreement, because the agreement does not resolve the needs of the UHC workers.
It's either PNP and gratuity, or we are not going back to work.
President, you have never commented about this. Our question is it that you don't know UHC staff exists? I mean, what is this UHC agenda that you are selling to the country every day? So our request is this: hire us or...
What we saw that is between the Ministry of Health and the Council of Governors, we already rejected.
Well, we are going to take a short break. We will be right back with more news updates. Now, welcome back to our news update at 1. Here is Younib TV. Now, in an operation clamped down, the Nairobi County government's campaign on run rate defaulters officially begins. Questions are already being raised about whether the county is targeting the true offenders or just the easy targets, as it is anticipated that it will collect at least 10 billion shillings of the 15 billion shillings in outstanding levies.
Number 209, which has 2 subplots here, which owe the county around 4 million shillings. Example, some of the properties whereby there is ongoing aspects around inheritance and all that, the law allows us to apply to become beneficiaries. So there are several of those that we have also now started applying to become beneficiaries so that we can recover what is due to us. If you have a debt that you owe the city, you owe the people of the city, just pay. There's nothing political about debts. You just need to own up and make payment.
Ikiwa imeshindikana kabisa, serikali ya kaunti ina haki ya kuweza kupiga mnada. Hatutaki kufika hapa.
Now, in order for health workers to treat Kenyans and achieve universal coverage, health stakeholders have urged the government to use health financing and give health institutions enough resources. Speaking at the celebration of Nurses Weeks, Dr. Susan Joguna, Dean of Daystar University School of Nursing, claims that a shortage of basic supplies has made it more difficult to provide the services, depriving many Kenyans of their entitlement to high-quality medical treatment.
We need to prioritize the care of the nurse, because as this nurse comes to work every day, she is, first of all, an individual. She is a person. She may have her own personal issues, her professional issues. How we support her in her well-being and provide the dignity that the nurse requires will impact on the patient she's going to take care of, or he's going to take care of. And as they take care of that patient, the patient becomes well and goes on to influence the economy.
We not only retain that talent, but also we continuously train them. And that's why you are seeing the kind of conferences we are sponsoring nurses to go for. These are they're capital intensive, but as a hospital, we are deploying this kind of resources because we are convinced when we support our nurses, the overall healthcare of our patients are going to improve.
I've worked for the Nairobi Hospital for the last 6 years, and my journey to leadership and the achievement that I've made began last year when I competed globally for the prestigious Florence Nightingale Foundation Scholarship, and I emerged as the first 2 Kenyan nurses to be accepted in the program, and we were sent to the UK for the leadership, and the program was very insightful and educative.
Now let's get into sports. Now, following a successful trip to China, the Kenyan team demonstrated their class by securing 3 key positions in the recently concluded 7th edition of the World Athletics Relays. The specific competitions include 3 World Championship tickets in the 4x100 meters men's event, the 4x400 meters men's event, and the 4x400 meters mixed relay. These are the teams that secured Kenya's only podium finish in China.
The national record, we just been there for the past 42 years. Then the 4x4 again qualifying for the finals and the mixed. So you saw what happened in the mixed, we got a bronze. Then the other events we got the national record. It's a big achievement as a country at large.
Motivation to me. It really motivates me to keep on pushing for the next coming championships.
Medal imenifurahisha sana kwa sababu ni international event. Afrika tumeishi tukienda tukikuja na medal, lakini hii make impact kwamba there is progress in Kenya for sprints.
Mzetu sababu tulikuwa na timu 4, timu 3 ziliqualify, na hata hii kutangazwa kama iliqualify, iko katika nafasi nzuri sana ya kuwa katika hiyo kiwango ya kwenda Tokyo.
Well, congratulations to the relay team for raising the Kenyan flag high at the World Athletics Relays, and we are optimistic that you will triumph again in the Tokyo Championships. Well, they have given me hope I can really run. Well, that story also brings us to the end of our bulletin this afternoon. Thanks for always keeping it Younib TV. Continue enjoying our shows. My name is Joseph Kamau. Until next time, bye-bye.
Younib.